only bus routes.
Arguments over mask mandates, vaccine shaming, and kids in quarantine again. These are just a few of the issues that might have parents stressed out. Dr. Ritch has been helping us sort through our kids' emotions for the past few weeks in our back-to-school coverage. And today, Dr. Hall's back to focus on parents. Good to see you, Dr. Hall.
Good to see you.
So let's start with all the anger and emotion a lot of parents are seeing maybe at school board meetings, protests at hospitals, all the arguing that seems to be going on lately. What are you observing?
I'm seeing a lot of the same thing, a lot of frustration, a lot of stress. A lot of people just sort of feel like this situation is outside their control. And anxiety is often about control. It's this sort of internal distress that comes from not feeling like we know the outcome. And so some people are fighting for certain outcomes in the hopes that that will lead them to some level of control. And a lot of times I'm working with people to help them to understand, control what you can. It doesn't have to become sort of this explosive emotional event, but that conversations can still be had. There can still be room for compassion for other people, even if you don't necessarily see eye to eye.
Yeah. I think a lot of us were hoping that this was going to be a more normal, quote unquote, more normal school year. We're already seeing, kids being sent home sick, and some schools have gone virtual already. How much of this is about managing our expectations?
It's absolutely about managing expectations. For the most part, I always say expectations are going to tank you every time, because if you set them too high, set them unrealistic, then you're often unable to control if the outcome sort of gets outside your grasp. I'm telling a lot of clients that we're essentially dancing between raindrops with this thing right now. We don't know whether or not you can essentially escape it. But what you can do is, once again, I've talked about a COVID plan over and over again when I've been on the show. I think you can have your plan, follow your plan, have a lot of discussions with your family, with your children about what you're going to do to manage your risk as best you can.
We talked a few weeks ago when you were in about helping kids with routines. I find I am a person who is very routine-based as an adult.
Yeah.
So how can parents and adults manage when their routines get disrupted, just being more flexible and go with the flow?
Right.
How can we do that?
That's the word, flexibility.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we kind of need these routines. They help us to feel a level of control. But we have to be flexible with those, because it is an ever-changing world, and particularly right now for the last year and more, it's been changing so rapidly that it's hard to feel like you're keeping up. But I always say, take a moment to reflect, check in with yourself, see how you're feeling, see how you're doing, and try and sort of reevaluate what's going to be the appropriate routine that'll help me get through today. And a lot of times the part of the reasons we get so afraid is because we're trying to project into tomorrow, and we assume tomorrow's going to be ruined if we mess up today. But in reality, it's just this moment right now that we have. So we have to work on keeping ourselves calm, relaxed in this moment, and then deciding what's the next step after that. But don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Well, so if we're really worried, if we're really anxious, or to the other extreme, explosively angry, what's that teaching our kids?
It's essentially teaching our kids this is how you handle conflict. Like, kids feed off of our energy. So if we can learn to be calm, reserved, really sort of intelligent about how we handle our emotions, then that's how they learn it.
Yeah. Do you teach people exercises for doing
absolutely.
that? Like
I teach a lot of different exercises. A lot of it is that self-reflection that I was just talking about. So taking a minute, whenever you feel the impulse to act, our emotions are energy, so they push us, they compel us to act. That's why it's so hard not to laugh when something's really funny or cry when something's really sad. But sometimes those emotions will lead us to behave in ways that might not be good in this moment. So how do you stop and take a moment? Take a breath. When you feel that surge of energy that is sort of an emotion, stop, take a breath. What do I need to do that's going to get me through this moment effectively? And how do I do that in a way that I can sort of handle things with grace? Have grace for myself, maybe have grace for the other person, right?
Yeah.
So that I can essentially sort of, once again, dance between these raindrops.
Yeah. And if we can take a breath, we can help our kids learn to take a breath too.
Yes.
Dr. Hall, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
It's going to be perfect. This summer, your favorite celebrities return to their hometowns.
It means the world to me to be back